Okay, I am recording. So before we get started, I just want to get verbal confirmation from both of you that you've given us permission to record and retain this in the archives.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, this is a Langston Boulevard legacy business interview conducted by the Langston Boulevard Alliance and made possible by a historic preservation grant from Arlington County, Virginia. Today's date is June 11th, 2024, and we are on location at Sports Fair. Oh, there's an S. Let's start over. Sport Fair. Sorry about that.
It's okay.
My name is Bennett King. I am a research assistant for Langston Boulevard Alliance. I'm joined today by Gary Ramsey and Susan Casimir, and they are both our narrators for today. So as we get going, let's start with you. Susan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, a little bit about your background.
Sure. I'm a local. I was born in Falls Church, Virginia, and grew up in Annandale. And I grew up coming to Sport Fair as a swimmer. And I went to Falls Church High School and swam on a bunch of the teams that Sport Fair supplied. And Gary actually asked me to work for him at one of the locations where I was purchasing items. He said, "I'd like you to work for me." And I said, "Oh, okay." And that sounded a lot more fun than my current job, which was lifeguarding. So I started working April 17th, 1999. Shift was 11 to 3. I made $6 an hour, which was a little less than my lifeguarding job, but I didn't really mind so much because it was a lot more fun. I was like, I don't want to lifeguard anymore. This is awesome. And went to four-year college starting in 2000, fall 2000. I've worked in summers ever since then. Graduated in 2004 from University of Virginia. And I really didn't want to go to grad school right away. I was really burnt out from school. And I just decided, I'm going to work for Sport Fair for a little while, and I'll go to grad school and save up some money and then see what I'm going to do. Well, one thing turned into another, and never went to grad school. Glad to hear that I'm making a lot more than $6 an hour now. And kind of the rest, a little bit more, and the rest is history. So I'm here.
Great. What was the when did you make that decision? This is what I want to do. What was the trigger that said I'm going to stay at Sport Fair?
Probably April 2006 when I went off to a meeting at Speedo. Gary wasn't sure he trusted me to go off and represent the company at first.
Well,
no comment.
No, actually, I felt that it was more that she was young, and I felt that they might not eat her alive, but there were seasoned dealers there, and they might ask questions that would be intimidating, but it could be an intimidating experience. When you're going there and everybody's 40, 50, 55, and you're
24.
facing dealers, and they're wondering, who's this, And so I was really more concerned about that.
Yes.
Didn't mean to interrupt.
No, please go ahead. And it was a great experience at the meeting, and I decided after that I really wanted to stay and forget grad school.
Nice.
I never knew that.
It's true. And then I became retail manager later in 2006, and keeping on going.
Did you say there are multiple locations? Or is there just the one? Did I hear that incorrectly? Are there multiple locations at Sport Fair?
No.
Or just the one? Okay.
One.
I misheard that when you were talking about that, because that would surprise me too. I didn't know that.
We did have a satellite store at one time in Maryland.
Yeah. We'll get to that. We'll get to that a little later. Okay, Gary, let's hear a little bit from you. Let's get some of your background, where you're from, how you ended up here.
I'm from right here. So I grew up in Arlington. I've been here my whole life. So we go on vacations, so I'm not necessarily tied 100% to Arlington all the time. But I went to high school here, elementary, middle school, high school. I'm a college dropout, which I'm actually proud of, because it goes to show that hard work and simply learning how to communicate with people, and everything you can learn from the people around you. So I dropped out of community college and did this full time. So we are probably the third largest Speedo dealer in America.
Wow.
And we have a national level presence, even though we're a local store. However, it's the community that we're involved in. So they're the people that have entrusted us to do a good job in I know most people, I mean, it's hard to go to the mall or someplace without people stopping. And I'm sure she runs some of that too.
I go to the grocery store and people are like, you look familiar.
Yeah,
Yes.
people simply walk up and say, Gary, hi. And it really sinks in when I take my daughter to the mall and she says, you can't get out of here without talking to somebody.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like it just reaffirms everything that you're doing, that you're in the community and here to serve. And I've worked here, I think probably as a teenager, but this is my 47th year here.
Wow.
Yes.
You both still in Arlington?
Yes.
Yeah. You're in Arlington?
I'm located in McLean.
You're in McLean, okay. So, but still close. Fairly
So close,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Okay, so let's talk about, we talked about your start of the industry. What was the transition on, you said you worked a little bit here during college, and when did you, talk about your transition after that?
Really, it just came down to my dad ran it. This is a second generation business, so my dad founded it with a partner back in 1955, and I had worked here probably since 74, 73, thereabouts, when I was a lot younger. You know, it's just a summertime employment, among other things that I did. And then at some point, it was in the mid-'80s when everybody basically retired. My dad retired, and it was basically up to me to just move forward. And we had a transition from other sporting goods fully into swimming, and it became 100% swim at about that time. And that probably would have been about 86, 85, 84, thereabouts. And that also coincided with our first move, which was across the street into the Garden City Shopping Center, where we stayed for about 27 years.
So was it, what's the transit, was it here first, then there, or was it someplace else, then there? What was the?
Actually, this is Sport Fair Location 3. The first one was in Cherrydale.
Okay.
And it was the Safeway in Cherrydale. Actually, the footprint changed, so they made a land swap deal back in the early 80s to take possession of that land, and then eventually they raised that building, moved the footprint of Cherrydale Safeway to what it is right now, and then we were essentially out. And I found this place, I found the place across the street because we had a television that blew up in an electrical storm, and I went over to Dabney and I said, Dabney, I need to buy a new TV set. And he says, oh, here you go, and by the way, that store is vacant across the street from you, which is where we were at the second location in the Garden City Shopping Center. So from 3617 Lee Highway, Cherrydale, to 5121, and then we found this location, and this is our final home.
And what was the year that you came here?
2000. We opened our doors January 3rd, 2008. Found it sometime in the summer of 2007 during the great, what was that, the housing crisis.
Yeah.
Yes, so discovered it then, and then made arrangements with contractors. Susan's the one who actually hired the contractor, did all the vetting, all the work to put the walls up as they are, the displays as they are, and with a lot of help from the community and the people, we reopened on January 3rd, 2008.
Very cool. What was this before? It's an interesting building.
It is. It was Junior League thrift shop, which was here from about 1955 or thereabouts to, I'm not quite sure when they went out, and then Brenner Building Maintenance, which was just a company that did service.
Yeah, maintenance service stuff, yeah.
Yeah, cleaning service, janitorial stuff and stuff like that.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit more, since we're on it, let's talk a little bit more about the history. Founded by your father, what was the year again?
1955.
And then what was how did he get into it? What was his start with the sporting good business?
Oh, he was a fisherman.
Okay.
So he and his then best friend, whose father was a prominent lawyer in the area, they decided to go in business for themselves and founded Sport Fair. And at that point it was hunting and fishing, and swimming actually didn't enter this area until 55? 56?
The NDSL started in 1956.
NDSL started in 1956, and we became a Speedo dealer somewhere in that 57, 58 time frame. which is when they entered this country, and that's how it started.
Oh, I didn't realize Speedo was a foreign company. Where are they from?
Well, actually, they've changed hands several times. It was Australian originally,
Huh.
and I think the first Speedos that I had were made in Australia.
I did not know that. We learn something in every interview.
And
I know
Speedo's
that
actually
either.
been around since 1927.
Wow.
Yes.
So they were doing the bathing outfits back then.
Oh
I
yeah.
had no idea what it would have looked like.
Long.
Long.
And covering a lot of things.
Heavy.
Oh my wool.
Wool,
Yeah.
probably. Yes.
Okay, so he started with, do you remember the friend's name?
Yes, Skippy Aholt,
Okay.
or Carl Aholt would
Okay.
have been his formal.
Okay. And then did they remain partners that whole time, or what was the transition there?
They had a split at one point. Also, Skippy was my godfather.
Mhm.
So that would have been about 1969, perhaps,
Okay.
to where they simply decided they didn't want to work together anymore.
Mhm.
And my dad bought him out.
Okay. So then wholly owned then. Did he have anything to do with the transition to swimming, or was that all you?
Oh, my dad? Oh, this was a big swim shop back in the
So he had
70s.
already started as a swim shop. Okay.
Yes, and we had many of the accounts that we still have today. We have accounts that go back to the beginning of the NVSL. So I could probably name some of them, but I would leave somebody off, I'm sure, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yes, so we're the only dealers some swim teams in this area have ever had
Yeah.
since 1956.
Well, with that, let's go ahead and, for people that are watching this, why don't you describe, I'm going to have you do this one. I'm going to have
Okay.
you describe this business.
Sure.
So we're somebody that would come on and watch this video, what would you tell them this is?
I would say that we're a competition swim shop in Northern Virginia, specializing in suits, goggles, accessories. And we've been around since 1955, and we've had a great 69 years serving the community.
Yeah. When you talk about competitive, I'm trying to get as much out of that because some people wouldn't know competitive
Sure.
swimming. So what's a typical thing they would buy here? Like what are are they marked suits, like team suits? Just I know
Swim
what it
team
is, but I want you
suits,
to
sure. Swim team suits, fun suits, practice suits, sometimes swim trunks,
Yeah.
and all sorts of goggles. There are competition technical suits
Yeah.
as well.
Okay, great. So who are your clients then? Let's talk about obviously swimmers, but let's talk about you had mentioned earlier that you have them all over the place. So maybe let's start with locally. Who do you have? Like is this mostly local, and then expand from there? And I don't know which one of you wants to answer that one, but
I think both of us can
Okay.
really.
Yeah.
So it really kind of is divided into two parts. You've got the retail segment, which is the walk-in trade, people that simply say, I think I'm going to go get a swimsuit at Sport Fair
Yeah.
or a pair of goggles. And they can be from anywhere, but a lot of Arlington, a lot of DC, a lot of Falls Church, Fairfax, Montgomery County, Calvert County,
PG County people
PG
are coming
County.
from.
Washington County, all over. So that's the walk-in trade.
Mhm.
And we're kind of like the go-to store because we have everything. They can also try it on. And then from there, you get into the club business, which is Summer League, which is right now college, which we're going to be working on. We're actually doing some college right now, and then high school and club team. Club team is year-round. So if anybody saw Tori Husk at if I can plug her, if anybody saw her during the last Olympics, not only did she get her gear here, but she actually worked here.
oh wow,
So we had an Olympian. I saw her. I thought she's going places. And when she applied, I thought, heck yeah, we want her.
That's cool.
So club team is very specialized. We're actually preparing for the Olympic trials right now. We have some merchandise in the works for local people who are going to Olympic trials. And it's really quite an exciting time. So
Yeah.
you have your expert professional Olympian all the way down to the person who's just learning to swim.
yeah. Is it? Do you have an online presence too, or is it only
Yes.
just you do? Okay, tell us a little bit about that.
I don't know as much about it as most of the people here. Hunter, the person who was in here, he actually is in charge of that. But it's kind of the brainchild of Enser and
Mhm.
Susan and the other people here that are much more forth going than I am because I'm old and I don't. I know there's a presence to be had, but I don't know how to get there.
Yeah.
So I have the people around me that I was very fortunate in choosing that are helping me, us, get there together. And that is going to benefit everybody in the community.
How would you want to talk a little bit about how that's kind of rolled out, Susan?
Sure. It started out as a bunch of web stores, specifically for certain teams, and then it's come to the actual online shop where anyone can go and purchase a pair of goggles or their team suit or clothing.
Yeah. When it's a club store, is that set up through you, or are you feeding another store? Like, how does that work? Do you create a store for them?
We would have created a store specifically for them on a different platform.
Okay. You also, when we got here, you guys were doing some custom work. Can you talk a little bit about what that is, like what it means to do custom suits? Like, what does that entail?
Oh, well, if you belong to a swim team and you wanted your team name put on it or a logo, mascot, we can do that. We do it in-house, so it's the kind of thing where somebody can walk in here and say, I'm with team XYZ, and then get that suit on demand. Same day within usually 5 minutes or less.
Wow.
Yes.
We print it right then and there.
Should get my daughter a suit while I'm here.
You can do that.
She needs a practice suit for water polo at Colorado State. Can we get that done this afternoon?
Yes, I'll be on it in a jiffy.
Okay. I lost my track because I was thinking about the suit.
I won't do that again. Sorry.
Anybody else involved? Let's talk about the ownership now. Who owns the place now? Is it still you? Is it the family owned, or how does that work?
I'm the 100% shareholder.
Okay.
Owner.
Anybody else involved in the family? Have they been recently?
Well, my daughter works.
Yeah,
for me.
I'm trying to get to that's what I'm trying to get to.
She's salaried, so, but I treat her the same as everybody else. Everybody is treated equally here.
Okay.
So many people bring many different things to this business, and Susan is the longest tenured person aside from me here. So you're pretty much looking at the people.
Senior management.
Senior management.
And did we get that on tape? How long you've been here? You wanted
25 years.
25 years. Yeah.
And Answer is considered senior management too, even though he's only been here for 10 years.
Oh, that's junior. You remember him when he was just a pup, huh?
Oh, that's the other thing I've known. Most of the people work here since they were 8 years old.
Oh, really? So most of these people are also local, or you've had them as clients. Oh, that's cool.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Where did the name come from?
My dad and Skippy probably came up with that,
Yeah.
and we have not changed it.
Yeah, that's the impressive part. Like it usually gets changed along the way. So.
And it's actually a registered trademark now too.
Oh, really? Why? What was the meaning behind that? Why did you do that?
To protect it.
Yeah.
Really. Protection.
Okay. Okay, what are some of the most memorable moments that you remember? Let's start with you, and then we'll go to you. Your memorable moments, all the way from when you first started, when you were a teenager, all the way to now. Give us some of your most memorable moments.
Well, I've just seen everything change over the years, from the fishing transition, multi-sports to swim, and that was really, it's kind of like a sea change. It didn't happen all at one time. It was kind of like a gradual change.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the main thing I remember. The other one was the move into that building, which I did all the work internally myself. Codes were not quite as
Those are older buildings over there.
enforced, and that's one thing I do remember. Also, the birth of my daughter, which happened on December 7th, 1994, and I put a sign on the door that said closed for birth of my daughter.
How about you?
During a busy time.
What are some of your memorable?
Busy time. I definitely remember my first day very well, back on April 17th, 1999, and coming in not really knowing what to expect, and I just found that I just jumped right in and started helping customers out with their water shoes and their suits and picking out goggles, and it was like, wow, this is a lot more fun than lifeguarding.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite memories, I think, from 2010 was when Ryan Lochte visited and to do a signing for us. And we had literally a line around the store and down the block probably up to 7-Eleven or
Oh,
up to
it's actually
or is it
up to
Oak to
the
Callaway Church?
Yeah, 'cause I was
Yeah.
out there handing out water. So
That's right,
Wow.
yes. And it just snaked all over, and people were just so happy to be here, so happy to be meeting one of their heroes.
Yeah.
And it was really, really exciting to be able to put that on.
Yeah, that's cool. What was your transition like? You said you basically started at the ground level. What's it been like? What has happened in your career path here? Like you went to get me up to the Speedo thing. Like how did that happen, and then where did you go from there?
Well, I wanted to work breaks in college, so I did. I came home early from college, sometimes to the chagrin of my parents, so I could help Gary around Thanksgiving time, and started full-time in May 2004 when I graduated, and started being in charge of more and more things, and it came and came and came, and I said yes and yes and yes.
Do you still work with the dealers? Like, is that part of your work now? Like working with Speedos and?
I do still work with them, probably on a daily basis.
Okay.
The thing I most enjoy is helping the merchandising team make some of their decisions and give some feedback on what actually the end customer is requesting.
Oh, okay, cool.
And wanting what's doing well, what's not doing well.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about. I want to talk about a little bit more about your customers. We'll start with you on this one, Gary. You've been working here long enough. Tell us about who your customers have traditionally been, and if they remain the same, or how has that changed?
You know, we've seen customers basically stay with us for life.
Yeah.
A lot of times, I've seen people, go through their life events here. We've seen, people go from single to married, children to single to married to team reps at swim teams. And I'd mentioned before that Marissa's a third generation person work here. We have another one also. We have, his name is Cameron. He's 14, and his mother worked for us when she was a teenager.
Wow.
And then had Cameron, and the mom no longer works for us, but her son does, and also Cameron's grandmother, which was Kirby's mother. So she currently works for us. So I've seen them through all their stages, and we get involved to a degree that people allow us. We learn about milestones in their lives as they move on. Some of them transition from summer league swimmer to collegiate level to masters in open water, and get involved in different aspects. When people come in here, they don't want to talk about their job. They don't want to talk about law work. They don't want to talk about teaching. They don't want to talk about you name it. But they want to talk swim. So this is a safe place they can come to, and they can ask questions. And if I can't answer them, somebody will. It's a place you can kind of forget about your day job.
Yeah.
Except us.
Except us, yes. And that's really interesting because everybody knows what I do, but I don't know what most other people do for a living.
So it's really just swim you're talking about when they're here, huh?
That's it, yeah. But I have other interests too, but nobody ever asks me, hey, how's that woodworking project going? Or, did you build that brick patio yet? They didn't ask me that, and I'm fine with that.
Have you seen a change since you've been here at clientele? Is it still the same, or remained the same, or changed?
What amazes me is how we have customers who came into 3617 to buy things, and then they followed us to 5121.
Yeah. And
they've now followed us to 5010.
Yeah.
And that's pretty incredible to me. We call it a third sport fair.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's
What's your name for it?
1, 2, and 3. So you have 1, 2, and 3 sport fair person. You have a one only if they didn't make it to the second or third one, and then we have only 2 and 3 if they only started coming in, say, as of February 27th, 1986. If they're
and then we have 3 only people who never knew where we've been and where we came from.
Yeah.
And it's really funny. And I just love seeing the variety of people who come in here.
Yeah, I bet.
From the person looking for a suit for gym class who says, I don't want to swim, and we're saying, oh, but it's going to be fun, and we find them the suit that's right for them, and they leave smiling, and that's just a wonderful feeling to have.
Let's talk a little bit about the relationships you've made with like local teams. How did that happen, or how does that continue to evolve?
Oh boy, much of that started before I was even here.
Oh, really? It's that long.
So, but of course, there's transition of people. You
Yeah.
have the same people in charge, and I think it's simply we always do what people ask us to do. Try to go beyond when we can. We try to be honest with everybody. We're here to serve them first and serve their needs and be a part of the community and be involved with what they need. And a lot of times, we've had teams for 68, 69 years in some cases. So it's just, we just try to give people what they need and not give them unrealistic expectations.
Do you get involved and do you host events? Do you
Yes.
sponsor things? Let's talk about that.
Actually, that's probably more of
Okay.
her because she mentioned Ryan Lochte before,
Yes.
but she's also had several Olympians come for signing events. It's kind of like the gravy. I mean, you can truly come here and see something like that, but I'll let her talk about that.
Okay. We've had signings happening since 2008 in here. We started with Kate Ziegler after the 2008 Olympics, and then we moved on to Natalie Coughlin.
Kate lives in Great Falls.
Yes.
Okay.
And
She
she's
still lives
a-
in Great Falls, yes.
She is a local Olympian.
Yes. And we had Natalie Coughlin in 2009. We had Ryan Lochte in 2010. We took a break until 2013 when we had the swimmer calendar here. Excuse me. And then in 2023 we had Haley Flickinger.
What's the swimming calendar? What was?
It was a brainchild of a woman who I'm forgetting her name, but she decided to make a calendar of swimmers who were local or around the country,
Oh, I see.
who were maybe not known as well as the Olympians, and we had two people come from there, Joe Pascal and Kate Ziegler.
Oh, I see.
So we've had Kate Ziegler twice.
What is when you do these events? How is that arranged? Is it through somebody like Speedo, or is it through like how does this even happen? Like how does it?
Usually it's through Speedo.
Yeah.
We did have Josh
Davis.
Josh Davis and Misty Hyman in 2011. After Misty came to do and Josh came to do a like a motivational speech. Excuse me.
Oh, that was Dale swim and tennis.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh, I see. So let's talk about, do you sponsor teams, or do you do is there other community stuff you do?
Sponsoring teams, aside from, not really.
Okay.
I mean, they can come ask for, donations.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting
On
at.
that. Yeah, we have many accounts that do that. Mostly schools, but some swimmers.
We give gift certificates to a lot of auctions,
And
Yeah.
we also
so they can make the money off of it.
Yeah.
We do give scholarships to some underprivileged swimmers too.
Nice.
So, if they belong to a team, they really can't afford what they need. In many cases, and if we're aware of it, we will support them.
That's very cool. Yeah.
We also do a yearly donation to a place, either New York City usually, or a company called Goggles for Guppies, with a bunch of suits and leftover goggles to help support what they call Make a Splash initiatives, which is just supporting underprivileged kids and teaching them how to swim.
Yeah.
Lately we've been giving to New York City because Goggles for Guppies has plenty of suits for right now, but New York City has been very underserved in getting people to swim. So we're really thrilled to send some of our items that we are done with here off to teach someone how to swim.
Yeah.
And it's really touching when the pallet leaves here. It's to say that, hey, we're helping people prevent drowning, and we're helping people learn how to swim who've never had a swimsuit before, and they have that opportunity now because we're helping them.
Yeah. It's great. Any other things you want to talk about? Any other programs you're doing, or?
I can't think of one off the top of my
Neither can I,
head.
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the neighborhood then. Actually, before we do that, I want to know where to start. We'll start with you on this one.
Okay.
And this is a lessons learned, so you can consider this you're telling this to your community, you're telling this to other business owners. What lessons have you learned through working at this business?
Customer service matters.
Okay.
And that to always service the customer first, that they're, listen to what their needs are and help them when they come in and say, hi, how can we help you? Instead of just letting them be at their own devices or assuming that they know what they need. And that's some of my favorite interactions with people is when they say, I need help. I've never had a good pair of goggles before, or I'm looking for a suit. I don't know what I'm looking for. Give me some guidance. And I'm more than happy to do it.
Yeah, that's good.
And they appreciate that they can go somewhere and get help. It's not like going to Walmart where you're kind of on your own, or even Dick's Sporting Goods where they say, oh, we have some goggles here. Okay, what do I do with them? Oh, I don't know, just pick a pair up.
She almost quoted Dabney there. Like, that's exactly what he said, too, was like to go someplace where you can listen to them and help them. You can't get that at other stores.
You cannot get that other places or online.
Okay, any other lessons that you've learned or would share with other people?
Let me think about that one.
Okay, you think we're going to go to him and you can come back. So lessons you've learned over the years that you would share with others on running the business.
I think that I've transitioned in here from doing all sales, doing everything, to now trying to mentor a lot of the young people coming up through here. So I look at this as life lessons, and I look at that we, as a small business, are building tomorrow's men and women. We've had many people come through here that have gone to do some incredible things, and one guy that worked here became a Navy SEAL.
Oh, wow.
So he would have been a SEAL if he didn't work here or not. It didn't really matter that much, but this was a positive influence. We have other people that do jobs that I can't really talk about, but she and I have been interviewed many times for people getting security clearances, and with maybe one exception, I mean, we just, we've worked with these people. I know their families, and I may have mentioned that I've known most of the people work here since they were 8 years old.
Yeah.
So, you follow them through elementary school, middle school, high school. I ran into somebody who worked here 24, 25 years ago in the parking lot on Saturday. I won't mention her name, but she is a divorce attorney now. And we sat out there and talked, and she has a son, 12, who I quipped, I said, I haven't seen that job application from your son yet. And she says, he's going to apply. He's a little young right now, but he is 14. And she did tell me, she says this was the best job she ever had at that point in her life.
Oh, that's great to hear.
So that makes me feel good when somebody can say, they can bring me their own personal problems, and I'll try to help them where I can, or, try to give them that steady rock hand that they need. I'm always here.
That's great to hear. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the neighborhood that we're in. You mentioned multi-generation. It sounds like multi-generation customers and multi-generation employees.
Correct.
So tell us a little bit about that. Let's give us some background on that. Are you seeing the same? Is a lot of the same families, or how does the word spread? I guess even in the community.
I think you get to a point of critical mass. Because all it takes is somebody to have a good experience, and we send a message. So that message is unwavering about how to conduct yourself, and taking care of people, life lessons, and generally, if one sibling comes through, they all do. And not always, but for instance, Anna Flack, who works here, she's a family of 5. 3 of the Flacks have worked here, and she is now full-time permanent, or permanent as long as permanent can be.
Yeah.
We had another family, the Allens, 3 young men, and I don't call them 3 boys. I say these were men. All 3 of them worked for us. All 3 Peveralls have worked for us. We had John Schnitker, who would have been 60s and 70s. His son came through here. So there's a message that they like, and that is that they're getting consistency.
What would your clients say? When you mention consistency, how would they refer to why do they come here? What do you think?
Consistency.
Yeah, I kind of gave that one away.
And customer service.
There's an old saying, and it's the name of the game is the same. So if you do the same thing day in, day out, and she has a coach who actually is probably even more consistent than I am, and very loved. I won't mention his name. She can if she chooses to.
Yes.
But you have to be the same every day so that people know that here's a safe place that I can go to, that I'm going to be treated well. I can bring my family here.
Yeah. I'll let you go ahead and...
And we are a family store, I think, definitely. We've got a kids' play area that the family can feel like they can bring the family here. And it's welcome. People can walk in here with a swimsuit and a towel on and no shoes, and we say, hi, how can we help you? Versus where at McDonald's, they'd be turned away. And that's my favorite kind of customer, seeing them come in is in a swimsuit and Crocs and their towel, and as long as they're not dripping wet, they're more than welcome to come in that way. And it's great. They feel comfortable coming in here.
Yeah.
And we appreciate that.
That's how you know you run the right business, when they're coming right from the pool to here.
Right from the pool.
Yes.
We need our stuff. Great.
Did you want to mention your coach that was...
Yes, his name is John Flanagan. He is the most consistent person I know other than Gary. And he is there every single morning for us, and day in, day out, and he is an amazing coach.
How many years has he been coaching?
Oh, goodness. It's been over 50 years.
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I just found out my club and then high school swim coach is still coaching. So this has got to be
That's
35
amazing.
years now.
Wow.
From
Yeah.
this area?
No, this is in Central California. But
Oh.
one of my friends was like, oh yeah, I just ran into Bruce and his wife Alana taught diving and water polo. And I'm like, they're still coaching? What? He's like, yeah, they're still there, still doing it.
Wow.
It is it's a sport and a life you can do your whole life.
Yeah.
You know, one of my sayings is there aren't any old runners.
Mm-hmm.
That's true with swimming too, yeah. Okay, let's talk about, I'm going to ask you this one, Gary. We'll start with you, and I'll have you contribute too, but we're going to talk with how the neighborhood has changed. Since you have been here, when did you move here originally?
Oh, well, my family's been here since the early 1900s.
Okay, so we won't go back that far for you, because I don't think you'll remember that
I
far.
can't remember that far back, even though some people would take issue with that.
Since you were on this earth then, how's that?
Yes.
Let's talk about how has Arlington changed? How has this neighborhood changed? And what have you seen change?
It's grown up a lot. So the changes are slow, sometimes almost imperceptible. That's a good one, really. I mean, the changes are just so gradual that, we've seen the high schools simply explode in size.
Yeah.
There was a time back in I think it was in the 80s, when Arlington was actually on the decline in population.
Yeah.
And they entertained closing one of the 3 high schools, if I remember correctly. Thank God they didn't do that. That would have been very short-sighted. Much like the Mixing Bowl, that area down there, my next door neighbor used to be one of the people who helped plan that. And I went to him and says, why is everything so backed up every single day? And he said, back in 1960, when we were working on that, we had no idea there would be this many people in the area. But Arlington has become a place that people seek to move to, because it's walking distance for most people, easy access to anything you can imagine. We got the best health care in the world, in my opinion, right here, and also the best competitive swimming in the world.
So let's talk a little. You mentioned the downturn. Did the business? Because I went through some of the cycles here. So you had there's massive growth in the 50s and 60s. There was a downturn in the 70s and 80s, tech boom in the 90s and 2000s. Let's start with those. Did that change the business any during that time? Do you remember changes at all then?
You know, my dad always used to say people, this had to do with drinking. They drink when times are good, they drink when times are bad. With swimming, people swim when times are good, they swim when times are bad.
Yes.
I was not really fully aware, because I was so busy during the housing crisis, that if I'd read too much, I might have hesitated in moving here, because I thought, well, I don't want to stick my neck on the line if we're going to go into a serious recession or worse. And I just went ahead and did it anyway. We did it. She was incredibly instrumental in that. And I'm glad I did, because I looked back and thought, really? We had that crisis? I wasn't even aware of that.
Yeah.
And from a business perspective, we didn't really miss a beat. So our customers kept swimming. Summer swim went on as always. And they say that Washington is kind of recession-proof, particularly like in the housing market. Simply, there's always going to be jobs because of government. And I kind of feel that way, really. So no matter what's going on in the world out there, we're planning 1 year, 6 months, 9 months into the future on what's going to happen. And then, of course, we went through the the pandemic.
Yeah.
And people still swim?
And, well, actually,
That was
they
gonna be my
didn't
next question.
during that time.
They didn't during the time of March through May, but
But they supported us. They really did.
And so that's what going to be my next question is,
Yes.
what did you guys do during that period? What did that look like here, and how did you get through it? So just give us a little bit of
are
background.
you referring to the quarantine time where
Yeah.
places were closed?
Yeah. So basically starting in March, I think, is when you guys went into lockdown. Right?
Yes,
So,
and we had to close, and it was incredibly distressing, and we said, what are we gonna do? We're not sure what we're gonna do. But what we did was we kept paying our full-timers, and Gary and I would be here every now and then.
I was here almost every day.
Yeah.
There's always something to do. I mean,
There's something to do, some
things
cleanups.
that have to be cleaned. We have a cleaning crew that comes in
Mhm.
every Monday. I was actually afraid for a lot of the businesses that we have very close relationships, because I'm very fiscally conservative, and I knew I could get through that, but I was not so sure about the people around me.
Mhm.
So we kept our cleaning crew coming in every week. We have partner businesses that I try to keep tabs on, and it was interesting.
Yeah.
And
And as
it's,
soon as we were able to reopen, people were coming in, and they were buying goggles for their lap swimming, or for when they wanted to go to their friend's pool that was in their backyard. They could buy some goggles. We had a few teams in the area who still practiced as soon as the pools opened in a limited capacity, but they were there and they supported us. And people bought gift cards during the time when we were closed off our online store, and we shipped them out to them as a way to help support us and keep some funds coming in. And we're truly grateful for that.
It was amazing. It really was.
Which part of the community involvement, or
The community involvement, where we've tried to support. It's always been a symbiotic relationship where we help each other, and during that time when basically we were just cut off, as most all non-essential businesses were, they supported us and helped us.
Okay.
It's really touching.
Yeah, that's a very cool story. We've heard some of that. I think we've heard, that's another thing I think we've heard with a lot of the small businesses is it's the community relationship that actually kind of kept them through. People would support them. I myself have more t-shirts than I ever needed because I was buying t-shirts from all the companies I was trying to keep in business.
It's wonderful.
And I was buying more carryout from Arlington Kebab to keep them.
Yes, all of our favorite restaurants.
Cash also.
I put the Thai restaurant ladies' kid through college, I'm fairly sure. So.
And my hairdresser, oh my God, or hair cutter, I just did what I could do.
Any other challenges? We talked about COVID. That's obviously a challenge. Any other challenges? Was there a challenge in the moves you made? Like when you mentioned the recession, did you struggle at any points? Were there any challenges you had to overcome during the period that you found it?
It was really just the fact that the work fell on a very small number of people. So when we moved, we were open until December 23, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
In 2007, had to open on January 7th, and it's kind of like that duck sitting on the water. It may look calm, but the feet underneath are just paddling away like crazy. And during that transition time, we had 2 warehouses in Fairfax. We had a pod in the parking lot here. We used the basement of all this warehouse space, and fulfilling orders was just a monumental task, and it would frequently go to midnight.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was a lot younger then. And I was I wondered, it's like Groundhog Day, is this ever going to end? We have done some amazing challenges. We've been presented with amazing challenges.
What would you say your biggest successes are then?
Successes? Probably watching the people grow up around us and become adult men and women. Watching them go from 8-unders that can barely get across the pool to going on to the Olympics, such as Tori Husk, watching them enter life and become productive men and women, that are serving our community and our services, our armed services. So I think that's probably the greatest reward I've had.
Great. How about you?
I think the greatest reward I've had is when helping a customer and they say thank you. We appreciate your help, and it's truly rewarding because you know that you've really helped someone. And to be a brick and mortar store in a world of online is a tough situation, but people are happy to come, and we've stood the test of time. That we're still here, and we're here for you.
Very good. Okay, let's. Why would I'm going to ask you about this question? Why would you say that long-lasting businesses, legacy businesses like yours, are important to communities? I'll start with you on this one.
We're a place that you can send your kids, your young adults, to work and learn life lessons. I keep getting back to that same topic, but I feel that that's important. I really do, because we're not just trying to sell swimsuits and serve your immediate needs, but we're trying to give you something that you can remember and last by. And I know that when Carolyn stopped me in the parking lot and said this is her best experience working, it was really touching.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I had my own business for about 7 years, and actually ended because of COVID. But I've had two people tell me that it's not a problem. We needed to, like, the industry changed. It's software design, so industry completely changed. So we got out of it. But to have people tell you like their experience, like they learned so much, or they was better than anything I'd ever done, any other work I'd done, or anything else.
One of my other great things was watching her simply grow into the role and take the leadership position that she has. And one woman a long time ago who is no longer here, she commented to me after she, I think, got Ryan Lochte to come here. She says, "You gave her wings and she can fly."
Yeah. Wow, that's cool.
It really was. But, giving people tasks and showing them the next step. How do you grow? How do you mature from here?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the growing process is outside of here. It's, maybe somewhere else. And that's perfectly acceptable too, because I don't want to hold anybody back. I want them to achieve what they can achieve.
We've also had some people leave and then come back as well.
Yes, a number of people have left and come back.
It wasn't better outside. They had to come back to it, huh?
The outside world can be overrated sometimes.
That's for sure. How about you then? Why do you think that long-lasting legacy businesses are important to communities?
Consistency.
There,
they learn that we're here and we're here for them.
Yeah.
The message stays the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I want to talk about the mural. So let's talk about what changed. Langston Boulevard gets renamed. Were you guys a part of this, or how did this mural become part of your building? Like, what was the process there?
Sure. We'd actually wanted a mural for a long time, and it was one of those kind of things, it was kind of a pipe dream where it's like, hey, what if we had a cool mural on the wall? Like, that'd be really fun, like a swimming mural or something that looked like lane lines. And we started discussing with the county, and they said, well, there's standards that you need to go by for these types of things. And then they came to us and said, we're actually looking for a place to put a mural by Kalik. And we jumped at the chance. We said, yes, please, that would be lovely. And Kalik was here during a whole month of, I believe, September, and it was really fun to have him here and watch the mural grow and be painted and meet his family even, too. And we were truly honored to be chosen as the spot for the mural.
Yeah. Just so we have that, can you tell us who the mural is and what was the background so that other people will be able to...
Yes, the mural is of John Langston, who is an abolitionist, and I believe local to Arlington.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
And I think there's a school right up the street that's named after him too.
Yeah, yeah.
It's very fitting.
Yeah. Did you know the renaming process was going on when the mural was done?
We did, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're very familiar with that.
Okay, great. And is it anything changed, or was it difficult to make the change, or been positive? Like, what's your thoughts on the Langston Boulevard renaming and being a part of that?
Very positive. I think the interesting thing is people would punch in the old address and then it would default or come up, and they would call us and say, it keeps defaulting to this. And I'd say, yes, that's correct. And even one of my friends who lives in California says, "Did they rename your street?"
Yes,
And I
I
said,
had that
"Yes."
question actually from someone in New Jersey yesterday.
Yeah.
I said, I have two addresses for you. Which one is correct? I said, well, they both are, but really Langston Boulevard is the one to use.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great mural. I appreciate that you guys did that there, and we've had some great. Cindy took the
We're so
pictures.
honored.
There's some great pictures of him working on it,
Yes, yes.
and the celebration was here too, which I thought was great. That when they did the renaming, they had the celebration in front of the mural. So.
We really enjoyed having that, and we got to hold the Langston Boulevard sign.
Oh,
that
did
was
you?
fun. I believe I sent a picture of that into
Oh, that's an
That's a year.
archive. Okay, good. That's going to the archive too.
archive.
Okay. Any questions from you guys? Anything else you'd like to add? Actually, I wanted to go back. Can you just give us the timeline again? It was your father owned it,
Yes.
and then give me the so he was working. He had swimming and other sporting goods. When did that change? Just give me that timeline again.
Oh, well, began business 1955. Swimming probably came in 56, about to coincide. I wasn't born yet, so I don't know that for a fact, but I know that we were the first dealer in probably several states.
Yeah.
A friend of ours, a friend of my dad's, actually ran a computing business in Maryland, and they were in that timeline also. And that at that point it was tennis, hunting, fishing, hockey, ice hockey. I still have
Really?
a pair of ice
Wow.
skates from the 70s.
Wow.
Yes, my daughter doesn't want me to wear them anymore.
Probably not safe either.
And then swimming grew and the other parts just kind of shrank. And then eventually in 1986, when I moved across the street into the Garden City Shopping Center, it was 100% swim
By the time you did that move, okay.
Yes, and then from there, basically, it was just it's remained swim ever since.
Yeah.
And we kind of grew and grew at the time.
Was it because? Okay, go ahead.
Okay, well, the very beginning was about February 1st, 1955, or at least that's the date that I have that we started.
I actually found a date, and it was February 18th.
Really?
Yes, I found it in the old scrapbook.
I'll be darned.
The old
I
notebook.
didn't
I know.
that.
I discovered that yesterday. I was like, oh my gosh, that's the date.
For
February
me,
February 18th.
it was always February 1st. Maybe they backdated it, so they had to include the whole month of February, but can't ask anybody now. And then it was hunting, fishing, ice hockey, badminton, archery, maybe some other sports too,
Okay.
but that's primarily what it was. And then swimming started about 1956 with the NVSL, with about 8 teams originally, I believe, and then just kind of grew from 8 teams to over 104 now.
Wow.
But we've also seen country club swimming take off, a whole separate league.
Colonial Swim.
Colonial Swim League, Montgomery County Swim League, Prince William Swim League, which started about 1971, I believe, and it just kind of took off. And eventually, swim kind of pushed everything else out, and and a lot of the other sports got taken over by the box stores.
Yeah.
So that kind of left swimming intact, and that's hard to do in a box store, and it's very difficult to do online. So I would not think that we're irreplaceable, of course, but we're easy to get to. We're right smack in the middle of the best swimming in the whole United States right here, and arguably the world. And it was like a big fluke of chance, really. And then swimming, of course, has been here ever since then.
Let's talk about we talked about this a little bit earlier, but your dad's role in this transition. He made the call before you took over to switch to swim, correct?
He did.
Okay, and then what was the transition? When did he say, hey, it's your turn? Like, what was that like?
Oh, that was probably in the mid-'80s. I do remember that, really. So swim was pretty vibrant, pretty strong, and I started calling on accounts and taking care of everything. Of course, I was in the community anyway, and it just seemed like a natural slide-in replacement. So at that point, I became head of team sales, and I've been in that role ever since.
That's great. You had one more memory you wanted to share?
Yes, and that was our 50th anniversary sale. So around 2004, when I began to be full-time, there was an idea floating around from Gary about how he'd love to have an anniversary sale at some point in February and that our 50th anniversary was coming up. I said, okay. It was kind of a pipe dream at the time, where it was a little bit
You sure that wasn't your dream?
No, it was yours. It was definitely yours.
Okay.
So what if, I would love to have an anniversary
It's a
sale.
fever
remember.
dream.
Or you would love to have some kind of sale day. And I said, great, let me head it up. And did all the groundwork. That was an interesting day. It was a great day to see that all these people come in, and we had food at the time, and there were discounts, there was a raffle, there was giveaways and things, and people were just so incredibly happy about it. And it was an extremely long day for me. I won't say how long, but between the day before and that day. But it was really, really rewarding.
That's a big
To say
deal.
it was a big anniversary, and it was a big thing. And to this day, we still have our anniversary sale every February. We've moved to President's Day Monday. The first one started out on a Saturday, but we've decided President's Day Monday was a better day. People are off work.
Yeah.
Back then, the HOV was lifted on 66, so people could get it very easily, and there wasn't as much traffic.
Cool. Well, thank you guys very much. I
Thank
apologize
you.
for having to change the battery there, but thanks for all the rest of that.
You're very welcome.
That was a great story, and it's great to hear that you guys are still going. And what do you think the future is? Like, what do you see the future of the company being?
Well, I don't have any new ideas really. I mean, like my knowledge has, I can talk to people. I have a million contacts. I'm highly thought of in the community. But watching other people take the reins in different areas with new ideas, such as our web presence,
Yeah.
and as her role evolves, that's really where I see it as other people take on more things and basically make our base broader. So instead of 2 or 3 people carrying the whole load, we have many more people carrying it. And I can't remember who said that first, but somebody once said, I'd rather have 1% of everybody's efforts than 100% of one person's efforts.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. It's you spread out the work. You have local people who are working here who have knowledge of the sport and are in the community, and that's the future. Really, it is the kids who are 8 and under here that are coming in today.
So we'll see you guys for the 100-year anniversary then.
Sounds good?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Okay, well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.